Hi, guys, and welcome back to Live and Learn with Livy. Clearly, I am fucking Livy. You guys, I've had a week. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're like, bitch, I can't even see you. That's because my vlog camera, or just like my camera in general, snapped in half. So I don't have a camera to film on, which like really fucking sucks because I was in the depths of my YouTube vlogging too. But that's fine. I'm just gonna buy a new camera today. God damn. So I'm researching that right now. And you guys, not only am I just like down bad about the fact that my expensive ass camera just randomly snapped in half. By the way, snapped the fucking half. I am not well. Last night I went to dinner with a friend and then we had an event after. And like as we were going to the event, she was like, my stomach like really hurts. And I was like, oh no, like you're fine, we'll be good. She's like, no, my stomach really hurts. I'm like, I wonder like what it could be. After the event, my stomach was in shambles. I was like, no, something's deeply fucking wrong with me. Like something's deeply wrong right now. Like I am not well. Like I barely could survive that Uber ride home because like I was either going to throw up or you know what, like I was not okay. And so since last night, I have just been like not okay. And she's also not feeling well. So I'm like, did we low key get food poisoning? Did we? Like, did we low key get food poisoning? Because like when I tell you I am not fucking well today, bitch. I'm really not. So if you're like, oh my God, you're like on your deathbed, like, and you sound like it, go and fuck yourself. If you only knew with what I was struggling with right now, you would have so much more sympathy for me. It's actually so weird not like looking at a camera and just like doing an audio podcast. I don't know. My brain isn't really all the way here today. But happy Valentine's Day. The day I released this is Valentine's Day. Fun fact, Valentine's Day is actually my favorite holiday, which is like really random because I know I do come across as an cold hearted bitch. And I would say that's pretty accurate that I am an cold hearted bitch. But I think I've just been like softening up recently. And I've just been like way more, I don't know, I've just been like in my loving era. And even when I was an ice cold bitch, Valentine's Day was still my favorite holiday. I love love. I love self love. I love people who are in love. I just think it's such a beautiful thing. And I know that's like really a lot coming from me because I am 24/7, like, fuck these men, they can die. And it's not saying I don't stand by that. No, and I'm like, and it's not saying I don't still believe that, but I just have always really bitch, I'm a Cancer. I'm a Cancer. Of course, I love love. And I just think it's like the most beautiful holiday, probably all the pink and everything. So my Valentine's Day plans. I'm going to my friend's apartment. She just moved in with Sissy and we're going to order pizza. I might just make us brownies and we're just going to have like a fun, cute little girls' night in. But I also really like to take Valentine's Day to like really emphasize the self love for myself. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. I'm back. Anyways, I do like to just use Valentine's Day for a lot of self love for me. So, like, I'll wake up, I'll go grab my favorite coffee. I'll probably do like a workout class that I love to do. Just like, I really spend the day doing things that I love to do and just like pampering myself, whether that's getting my nails done, a massage, anything like that, like showing myself all the self love in the world. Because when I do have a partner and they do come into my life, if my Valentine's Day is better by myself, they're not meant to be in my life. Like, let me fucking tell you that much. But yeah, I'm like, even if you're not in a relationship, I never really looked at Valentine's Day as like a cynical experience. I don't think I used the word cynical right, but I was never cynical about it. I'm just going to say the word, but I feel like you just like know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I've just like never been cynical about it because I've always just been like, I love the fact that there's love in the air and there's people experiencing love. And like one day that's going to be for me and like can't wait. I think that's beautiful. And just like embracing the chapter that I am in my life where I'm like, I'm deep in this self love journey. Um, and so I'm just going to embrace that. And I just think it's so cute and beautiful. And if your boyfriend or girlfriend or anybody was like, no, Valentine's Day is like a fake ass holiday, like I'm not getting you anything. I hope you tell them that they can go fuck themselves raw and literally fuck off. And I hope you treat yourself that Valentine's Day and I hope you get rid of them. Anyways, that's just my personal thought and my personal opinion. But since it's Valentine's Day, I was like, let's do a little self love episode. But with the self-love episode, what I want to do is I asked you guys questions on Instagram. So I'm going to answer your Instagram questions. And all of these were like self-love, confidence, anything like that related. And I picked like a handful that I'm really just gonna like deep dive on. I actually don't remember what the fuck ones I screenshotted. So like this is gonna be new for me too. And my opinion is gonna be very fresh for me as well. Like, this is, bitch, we're improving this shit. Okay. First question. How do I believe in myself when it feels like everyone around me doesn't? I've been having this conversation with friends a lot recently because if you don't, I mean, my content creation journey, that's like what I think about when I think about like my goals and my dreams and stuff like that. And like when started doing content, I started doing it back in like 2020. I was the bitch filming vlogs when like nobody was watching. I don't know if you're talking about content creation specifically, but like I'm talking about content creation because that's what I can relate it to. But like back when literally like Midday Matcha, my old podcast had like maybe 100 listeners, maybe 75 listeners, I would not stop. Like I knew what I wanted and I saw the dream that I had for myself. And I was like, at the time, I think it's very difficult too when I'm like, no, I'm going to have millions of followers. This is going to be my full-time job. And like, you all just like wait and see kind of thing. When I was sitting there with like maybe 2,000 followers on Instagram and maybe 4,000 followers on TikTok and like maybe 100 subscribers on YouTube. But like, I knew what I wanted and I knew I was willing to do what I wanted to get to my goals and my dreams. I definitely had people along the way that were like, I don't know. I think you're dreaming too big. I was like, I don't think I'm dreaming big enough. And I think it really just comes down to like, everybody is going to have an opinion about what you do, what you're doing, anything like that. They're all going to have opinion. Now I'm kind of going to get into like the Mel Robbins let them theory, where she talks about if like someone, for example, we'll use your specific situation, like someone's not believing in you, someone's like bringing you down kind of thing. It's like, let them do that. Let them do that and do what you want to do regardless, but also not just let them, let you be okay with the fact like, hey, these people really don't believe in me personally, they would not be in my life. I will cut a motherfucker out who does. If someone does not see my goals and my dreams and my visions, they're not going to be in my life. And that's a very loaded statement because like I think about it back then when I didn't have any followers and I was like, no, this is gonna be my full-time job kind of thing. I've always had a pretty decent support system around me. Like I've always had my mom who's like, you're gonna do whatever you put your mind to because like you've always been that way. But I've definitely had people be like, no, that's cringy, or like, no, you're not gonna do that. And it's just like, I don't like people around me with a lack mindset because that rubs off onto me. Another way of like accomplishing your goals and dreams is like you need to have an abundant mindset and you need to have a delusional mindset as well. Like don't be too delusional, girl, but be pretty fucking delusional. Like it was a delusional thing for me to say, hey, I'm gonna have 1 million followers on TikTok. This is gonna be my full-time job. But like I made it happen because not only am I delusional, but I worked my ass off and I saw what I wanted and I made it fucking happen. And if I had sat and listened to what everybody else around me had to say, I wouldn't be where I am today. Like I really would not be where I am. And it's a hard thing when you feel like nobody else believes in you, but like it really does just come down to fuck them. I believe in myself and that's all that matters. And at the end of the day, when you reach the goals and the dreams you've had for yourself, you're going to look around and see who's there with you and if they supported you along the way or if they didn't. And you could literally be like, no, go fuck yourself. I actually made everything I want come to reality. And I'm just like very big on the fact, not I'm very big, no, but like I'm just very big on the fact that I literally don't remember what I was going to say because I was too caught up in the fact that I said I'm very big. And I was like, big, bitch, who the fuck is big? But yeah, people are not going to believe in you. People are going to tell you you're cringe. People are going to tell you all these things. And you have a choice if you want those people in your life or not. Me personally, I'm not putting anybody in my life who's just bringing me down. Like I'm not doing that whatsoever. I don't give a single fuck who you are. I always say that. I'm like, I don't give a fuck who you are because like I've cut off a parent. You know what I mean? Like my dad's not in my life. If I can get rid of my blood, I can get rid of anybody. And I'm not saying that like as a flex. I'm saying that is how much I value my peace. That is how much I value myself. And that is how much I value my work and my goals and my dreams and all of those things. Like if I'm willing to do whatever it takes for my goals and dreams to come true, the last thing I'm going to do is have people in my life who don't believe that. Like that's just not going to happen. And it honestly does come down to ignoring them and just like putting your head down, doing the work and making it happen. Because if you have a goal and a dream, you are so capable of making that happen. You are so capable of that being your life and like your reality. And I mean, coming from me, like I said, I was going to have these millions of followers and I do. So it's like whatever you want, it can come into fruition. But if the people are just going to bring you down around you, either one, cut them off, or two, I would just like drown out the noise. And then when you are accomplishing your goals and dreams, look them dead in the eye and say, go fuck yourself. But me personally, I would just rather not even have them in my life because I don't want anybody in my life who thinks my goals and dreams are too big. I want someone in my life who's like, your goals and dreams aren't big enough. Like, you need to dream a little bit more, bitch. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I know I rambled a lot in that question, but we know I ramble in general. So I hoped that helped. And it just kind of like believe in yourself so much that the weight of others' opinions doesn't fucking matter anymore. Like, it just doesn't. I see myself differently every time I look in the mirror, and I don't know why. Okay, this one hits near and dear to my soul. I have struggled with body dysmorphia my entire life. I remember, okay, this episode's gonna get kind of deep. I'm not gonna lie to you. I remember back in when I was in like third grade or something, my oldest sister, love her dearly, but would call me fat every single fucking day. Like she was just always calling me fat. Was I fat? Like probably not even that fat. Anyways, and she would always call me fat. And my babysitter at the time said, please stop doing that because I have a friend. Anytime she looks in the mirror, she has no idea what she looks like. She always just thinks she's fat because her brother, her entire life, told her she was fat. Like when you hear something enough, you're going to believe it. You're going to see it. So I relate to you 1,000% on the fact that like, I don't know if you're talking about body image, but I'm specifically talking about body image. Anytime I look at myself in the mirror, I look like a different version of myself to the point where like when I'm gaining weight, I can't even see that I'm gaining weight. And when I'm losing weight, I can't even see when I'm losing weight. Like looks wise, I know I'm always good. Like I'm always gorgeous, but like I don't know what my body actually looks like. And that was a big conversation I had with my friends and family when I was like home for Christmas break. Actually, I was like telling my mom and my sisters, I was like, I don't think you guys get it. Like, I wasn't aware that I was gaining weight in California. Like, yeah, things weren't fitting as whatever, but I would be like, oh, I'm just bloated or something. But I was like, when I look in a mirror, I can't see what everyone else is seeing because my entire life my oldest sister called me fat, so like it really fucked with my mental. And so now anytime in the mirror I just see like fat, like I don't see anything. Oh, that's kind of sad, but it doesn't. And like the thing is, it's like I've grown within that and I've learn to love myself within that, where it's like, okay, I'm not going to know what I look like when I'm in the mirror, but at the same time, like, am I happy? My therapist taught me that. She was like, are you happy? And I was like, no, I am happy. She's like, well, then that's all that matters. It doesn't matter like what you look like when you see yourself in the mirror. Like, and when you look in the mirror and you're like feeling, let's say you're like, oh my God, I look so fat or something like that. I always change the narrative of like, no, I love my body. I love my body. I think you have to love your body through every single season that it's in. And that's very difficult, obviously. Like for me, when I gained weight when I moved to California, like it was a very difficult season for me to be like, no, and I still love my body regardless. But it was like, yeah, that was like very, very difficult for me because it's hard when I'm like, oh no, I still love my body regardless, but I also am like, I wasn't taking good care of myself. And like it showed within my body. I was depressed. It showed within like my body of just like the gaining weight, every aspect of that. And I feel and I sympathize with you of like, yeah, I don't know what I look like when I look in the mirror, but like what I'm going to tell myself is that I look beautiful. I look amazing no matter what season I am in my life. Like you have to love yourself through every single season or else it can become such a toxic relationship with yourself. I feel like if I had sat there and been like, you fat whore, when I was like in California, just like looking at myself in the mirror, it wouldn't be productive in any sort of the way. And it would have just been bringing myself down even more. So now, even like losing weight and stuff like that, I'm still just always looking at my body in the mirror, like with love. Or if I see a photo I don't like, I'm like, I'm doing it with love because at the end of the day, yes, obviously, like I want to lose weight, but my health and my wellness and my happiness is like the number one priority. And that's just like an effect of that all being good is an effect like, okay, yeah, I lose weight, like on top of that kind of thing. And it really is just about loving yourself through every season and acknowledging, like, yeah, I don't know what I see when I look in the mirror. And if you're worried about like gaining weight or anything like that, number one, I say that's normal, that's life. We grow and every aspect. So our bodies are going to change, but like I always will know with like the jeans I'm wearing. Okay, if they're feeling very tight, that means I'm obviously gaining weight because if I look in a mirror, I'm not going to know. Like I'm not going to have any fucking idea. So I get that. And I don't think that's like talked about enough. And I don't have a cure other than I'm very nice to myself when I look in the mirror, and I just try and be as gentle with myself as I can be, because I gain nothing from being negative to myself. Even in the moments where I was like, "Oh, I'm not looking my best," I gain nothing from being negative within myself. Like I just really don't. But it's come to a point for me where like I have to just look in the mirror with love, because I don't know what I look like. I literally, like, body wise, I don't know what the fuck I look like. And just kind of accepting that. I mean, like, that's okay, but like, I still love the way I look. Or even if I look back on old photos and I see the progress, I'm like, no, I've seen really great progress. I'm proud of that. And I love that. So I understand. I don't even know if that made much sense. But yeah, you see yourself differently every single time you look in the mirror. I think that's just goddamn, maybe just even like being a woman. I took it as body wise, but like maybe it's not body wise, maybe it's something else for you, but for me that's like it's body wise. Okay, the next question. How do I love myself after making mistakes that I look down upon? That's like a heavy question, especially like because like I'm so perfect. No, imagine I'm like I'm so perfect. I don't make fucking mistakes. No. If you did not make those mistakes, you and also like mistakes are it's such a heavy word. It's like quote unquote. I believe everything in your life happens for like a specific reason, whether that's to learn from something, whether that's to grow for something, or maybe that's just a blessing that was like meant to happen in your life. But if you did not make those quote unquote mistakes, you wouldn't be where you are today. And like you wouldn't be the version of yourself that you are today. And I think we can't hold so much to our past selves. Like I've definitely like quote unquote made like mistakes, but I don't view anything as a mistake. I view everything as a learning lesson. Like I just view it's like, oh, okay, you know what? Even like if I talk about like finances, and I took a financial hit when I moved to California, and like I just personally wasn't smart about my money. You could call that a mistake. I call that me not being like smart about my money, and I needed to learn a lesson. Like I needed to learn a lesson. So I view that more as like, oh, okay, I'm learning a lesson instead of like this being a mistake. And I think you're in control of how hard you are on yourself. So it's like there's no reason to beat yourself up over something, especially that's something that's happened in the past. Like, don't even give that a second fucking thought, honestly. Like, that happened in the past. You can't control the past. And you sitting here ruminating, being like, okay, these mistakes I've made, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You're doing nothing. That's not doing anything productive for yourself. Like, instead being like, okay, I made these mistakes, write down what did I learn from the mistakes that I've made? How did I grow from the mistakes that I made? How am I a better version of myself from the mistakes I made? What can I do differently moving forward so I don't make the same mistakes? Like life is about learning and growing. And when you give it that mindset instead of being so harsh and negative on yourself, you're going to be a lot fucking happier. And I'm just gonna like, I've definitely had stuff in the past that like I'm not proud of like even down to okay, should I ramble? Should I ramble? But for example, I've seen a lot of growth within myself the past 6 months specifically, and specifically within dating, where I can go back and I can look at times where like I was not a healthy person to date, and I was not a healthy person to like I was a fuck girl. Like, and it wasn't beneficial for me because I was just doing that to protect myself, and it wasn't beneficial for the men that I was dating because they were just like, okay, you're just being a fucking bitch, Livy. And like, don't get me wrong, most of it was justified, but at the same time, I look back on those actions and I'm like, yeah, I'm not proud of the fact that I let my hurt from somebody else really close me off so much emotionally that I was in turn being a fuck girl and potentially hurting other people. Like, I'm not proud of that. But instead of being like, ah, that mistake, like, I think of this one specific guy. This is so random, but we're in a love episode. um, this one specific guy, I remember he was like, we had like a great night together. We just had such a good connection. I really liked him. And I was like, oh, like this is such a vibe. Like, I'm really into this guy. And he said something that like kind of pissed me off. And then I sent it to all my friends and they were like, no, that's horrible. Looking back in reality, like it wasn't that bad. But instead of me being like, oh, you know what? I don't like the way you said that, I instead with the guy I liked, became a complete fuck girl. I would text him every like 3 days at 9 p.m. Like, what are you doing? And he'd be like, oh, I'm at the gym right now. And then I just wouldn't answer. And I was doing all of this on purpose. And I was like, I'm going out of my way to be a fuck girl because I thought this man could potentially try and be hurting me. Like, it just wasn't beneficial to me. And it just wasn't beneficial. Like, that poor guy, like, he didn't fucking deserve that. Like, he did actually nothing wrong. And like, I just wasn't at a point in my life where I could be emotionally available to somebody. And it's like, okay, then don't date, Livy. Like, then don't date somebody. But if I stood there and like held on to like that quote unquote mistake I made within that little thing I had with that guy, I wouldn't move forward, and I wouldn't like have made other mistakes with other men I've dated. You know what I mean? I think it's just, mistakes are the best way that you can learn to be a different version of yourself, and you can reflect back on that version of yourself and be like, okay, instead of calling it a mistake, just being like that version of myself, I didn't really enjoy her. I didn't really think she brought much to the fucking table. I think she was causing chaos more than she was causing like actual growth and like being beneficial in people's lives. And like, I just don't want to go back to that. I think it's the best way to look at it, instead of being like, oh my God, I made these mistakes, and that you look down upon. And I also just don't believe on looking down upon myself. Like, I'm not going to be harsh on myself for things that I did in the past, because like, I'm no longer that girl. So why am I going to sit here and ruminate on a girl that like I no longer know? You know, like, I'm a different version of myself. I'm not going to sit and be like, oh, but that past version of myself. No, she had to do what she needed to do to survive and get by. But like, yeah, no, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And I really recommend that you don't do that either. And just like keep it moving forward. And like, what did you learn? Take note of that. Next question. Bitch, I'm fighting for my life right now. I need to be laying down horizontal with like a fucking Gatorade in my system. How do you, oh, my little puppy's coming over here. Hi, tiny baby, come here. How do you not let the reactions of others affect you when you're setting a boundary? Perfect example. I keep talking about Mel Robbins, but I love Mel Robbins. Sorry. I listened to her on a podcast, and she was telling me, um, she was telling me specifically, Mel was literally telling me, but she was saying, when you set a boundary for yourself and someone reacts negatively, all you can genuinely do is just be like, okay, sorry you feel that way. Like, I've set a lot of boundaries in my life, and like, boundaries I've set have ended friendships. I'm not going to lie to you. And you take that as like, okay, this is why I'm setting the boundary. Like, the fact that you're reacting so negatively is the reason I'm setting the boundary, because like, I can't continuously deal with this. And I think anybody who doesn't respect your boundaries, like, doesn't respect you and is a very selfish person. Like, anyone being like, well, you just weren't there for me during that time. It's like, no, I had to put a boundary in place, because not only am I a friend to you, but I'm also a human being, and I go through things on my own, and I have personal issues that I'm dealing with. And like, if your situation is affecting me so negatively that it's affecting my personal life, 1,000% I'm going to set that boundary. 1,000% that boundary is going to be set. And if you react negatively, it says so much more about you than it does me. So anytime someone just like reacts negatively to a boundary I said, I go, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way, but it doesn't change my mind. It doesn't change the boundary that I've set in place. And I talked about the boundary that I've set in the past, like with friendships, with talking about toxic relationships. I can only do it for so long, and I can only do it. And this is like, I'm talking about like, bitches have been talking about this to me for like a year kind of thing. And it's, if at the end of the day we're a year into it, or even 6 months into it, or even 3 months into it, and there is no change with on your end, I'm talking to a brick fucking wall. So I'm not going to continuously help someone get out of a situation that they don't want to get themselves out of. So I'm going to say, hey, this is the boundary. I no longer want to speak about the man that you're quite literally obsessed with, because I don't think it's healthy for me. I don't think it's healthy for you. I don't think it's healthy for this friendship. And I set that boundary with a friend, and she was like, actually, fuck you. Like, you abandoned me during that time. And I said, I'm not responsible for you putting yourself in a toxic negative relationship. Then I had another friend that I set that same exact boundary with, and she was like, okay, I completely understand that. Like, 1,000%, I can only imagine how it feels. Like, I'm sorry. And I was like, don't apologize. I'm always going to be here for you, but I can't do it 24/7, and I can't do it all day every single day. And I'm going to support you no matter what you do. If that means you're going back to the man a million times, go back. But like, I can't sit here and be like, okay, you're going back again and then you're coming to me when it goes negative because it does, and that like it just keeps happening that way. Like I cannot continuously just like put my life on hold and like my boundaries or just like anything like that and not have them because you're going through something. Like no, I have to have my own life, and I have to focus on myself. Even the boundary that I've made within friendships of like drinking, I think is another one. I don't drink anymore. And that's just simply because like I don't fucking like it. I don't feel good about myself. I don't want to wake up and not be like the best version of myself. I think that just hinders me more than anything. And I'm just like not fucking about it. I'm like, I don't need to drink. Like I can have a drink on occasions, but it really does nothing for me besides negative effects. So I don't want to do that. All my friends are pretty big drinkers. They love to drink. And I would say for the first like 6 months of me being like, oh, I'm not drinking, they're like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, drink, like, drink. And I was like, no, I set the boundary that I am not drinking. You telling me to drink isn't gonna make me drink, bitch. And if you're upset that I'm not drinking alcohol, that says a lot more about you than it does me. Because why do you want me to get drunk so badly just so you can feel like you're not an outsider in your own situation? Like, I don't need to get drunk for you to feel validated within your drinking. Do you know what I mean? Like, and also, I'm a good fucking time regardless if I have 12 tequila shots in my system or I'm dead ass sober. Like, I'm still a good time. I'm still gonna be shaking ass on the dance floor. What was that? Hold on a minute. That was like so scary. I like saw a reflection move in my background. Was it me? I'm like, oh, it was me. Oh my God, that's me. Okay, anyways. Um, I'm just setting the boundary with drinking within friendships where I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that. And like if you're upset by that, it says something more about you than me. And they're like, you're so boring, all these things. I'm not boring, bitch. You can call me a lot of things. Boring ain't one of them. And it's just like that's just you reacting negatively. And I'm always like, oh, sorry that it bothers you that I don't drink, but not gonna make me drink. Like that's another boundary I've had to set within friendships. And it's like if they react negatively, let them fucking react negatively. Okay, sorry you feel that way. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, and if it becomes such a problem, then I will evaluate the friendship and I will remove people from my life. But normally, I'm pretty strict with my boundaries. I'm pretty firm with them. And people really know now, I would say, not to fuck with them. And I think that comes within growth within other people as well, not just like myself, but other people being like, okay, you know what? Actually, I'm going to like respect that boundary. The hardest person to create boundaries with is my mother because love the woman dearly. Oh, the crazy bitch. But like when I create the boundary, and like she also had to create boundaries with me. And I would say there was times in my life where like I didn't respect the boundaries she was making. I'm like, you're my mom. She's like, but I don't owe you that. And I was like, she's not wrong. She fucking ate with that. She fucking ate with that. But like that's, and now I feel the tables turning where I'm like, I'm creating a boundary with this because I'm just not going to put up with that. Anything that affects my mental sanity or affects a relationship or anything I'm having in my life or brings drama and doesn't bring peace, I'm probably going to set the boundary. And I just think if they have an issue with that, fuck them and let them have the goddamn boundary. Like, okay, you have an issue with me setting boundaries for myself? You're fucking weird. Okay, next question. How to become confident enough to the point they don't feel sad after that you don't. I'm thinking you're trying to say that you don't feel sad after getting ghosted. Okay. Ghosting is 1,000% your ego. Your ego is more upset about the ghosting than anything else. Like when I look back on the times that I've been quote unquote ghosted, because if one thing I will do, I will double text a fat fuck. Actually, I won't do it anymore. But like I definitely in the past like would have. But for instance, I realize like in times that I've been ghosted, I'm like, why is this bothering me so much? And it's because it's like my ego is the one that's like, oh, I'm perfect. I'm amazing. Why the fuck would they ghost me? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? And then it's like, okay, but take a step back. Did you even like the fucker? And mainly the time for me, like, no, I really don't think I did like the fucker. And I like it really is just like an ego thing where your ego can't handle being rejected. It probably comes down to like a fear of rejection or anything like that. But at the end of the day, if someone is willing to ghost you, it says so much more about them than it does you. And I personally know for myself, I don't want anybody in my fucking life who's so comfortable ghosting me. That's just like not something I need. Like, what? No, thank you. And like after being ghosted, it's like, okay. Like it's actually came to it is hard because it's a hard thing, but once I realized like, oh, that's just my ego getting hurt. Like my ego is just like taking the hit on that one, where it's because my ego thinks I'm the best fucking thing that's ever hit this planet and can't fathom the fact that I've been ghosted. Where like as my soul is like, okay, you didn't even like the man regardless. I'd be like, why do we even give a fuck? Um, but yeah, no, I also think ghosting is a painful thing in general. And it's if someone's willing to do that to you, you shouldn't even want them in your life. And it should never take a hit on your self worth. That just means that's not your person. And that's okay. I'd rather them get the fuck out of the way so my person can actually come through, you know? And it does suck. And I do think people who ghost are like fucking idiots. But also, like, have I ghosted? Yeah, probably 1,000%. Um, and I just think like you're proving to your ego that you're good enough. Like if you're trying to like get them to respond to you or anything like that, like bitch, I've been there where I've like manifested the text message and like done all those things. And at the end of the day, it's just me being like, my ego wants to prove that like I'm that bitch. Da 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 da. There's just a lot of peace in being like, okay, like you ghosted me. You're a fucking loser for that. I'm gonna move forward. Like I don't care. I don't even know if it comes down to confidence. I think it comes down to, I mean, yeah, it does come down to confidence. I think everything does. Just like knowing your worth, knowing your value, knowing you're that fucking bitch, and it doesn't matter whether they ghost you or they don't. Like it's like I just like look at that more as like, okay, you're not my person, so move out of the way because my person is coming the fuck through, and like you and your loser self is like not what I need in my life. So like goodbye. Yeah, ghosting is genuinely so much more just like an ego death for you. Cause like I remember I was like a couple years, it was like 2 Valentine's Day ago. Like I literally got ghosted on Valentine's Day from a guy that I only went on like 2 dates with. And like he really was boring and like gave nothing. And I remember like sitting across the table from him at dinner and I was like, I don't think I could ride his face. Like I just don't think that like I have it in me. Like I just like don't know if I'm sexually attracted to him. But the second he ghosted me, I was like, okay, so what? Like he didn't think we were gonna get married because that's where I thought I was going. It's like, what are you talking about, Livy? Like you literally sat across the table and you were like, I don't even think I could ride this fucker's face. And now you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he ghosted me. Like we were gonna get married. It's like, bitch, that's just your ego taking a hit. That's like not, and I like literally was like praying he didn't kiss me after the date. And you're telling me I'm upset that he ghosted me? Actually, be so fucking for real, Livy. Like, be so fucking for real. So it really just came down to me being like, oh shit, that's just like my ego taking a hit where it's like, I think everybody should be in love with me because they should be in love with me. And the second that this man was like, no, like just ghosted me, I was like, what the fuck? Were we not soulmates? And it was like, no, babe, you were never gonna be soulmates. You didn't want to ride his face. Like, keep it moving. So once I recognized, I was like, oh, that's just my ego taking a hit more than anything else. It made it easier to like deal with the ghosting. If that makes any sense for you. Um, okay, let's get into another question. This might be the last question because like I'm going down. I'm going down. Like, I'm not doing well. Okay, I don't like that one. And I don't like that one. Okay, this is a cute one. I have a really hard time posting pics I think are cute because I worry about people's opinions. Any advice? Tell those people to go fuck themselves. Like, I I think it shows that I've never really given a fuck about people's opinions. I don't know where that came from. I'm also not a people pleaser and I've never really had the traits of it. So like I've never valued other people's opinions. I've really only valued my own, and I just like don't actually no, let me be like a little bit more real. I've been there where it's like, oh my God, should I post that? Is that like that too slutty? Or like, is that like this and that? And it just is like, no, who gives a fuck? It really is just like, who gives a single fuck? Like, post the photo. Who cares? At the end of the day, my one therapist in high school told me this, and it like kind of always stuck with me because I had really bad anxiety in high school. And she was like, it was more like school anxiety. And I was like, well, what are other people going to think? Or like, da da da. And she was like, everybody is so wrapped up in their own brain. Everybody is so wrapped up in their own self-image. They could actually care less about what you think. Like they can actually care less about you. Like we've just conditioned ourselves to thinking like, oh my God, like everyone is like gonna judge me 24/7 when it's like in reality that person is probably just like thinking about themselves 24/7. Like we are all selfish. We are all only thinking about ourselves. Like they're not thinking about you as much as you think they're thinking about you. And like if you feel cute, fucking post it. Be like, no, I'm that bitch. Thank you very much. You're gonna see that I'm that bitch. I'm gonna post this. And like that's just that. I think you just have to another way of just like giving yourself so much love where it's like, no, I'm going to give myself so much love because also I am that bitch. Like, I feel good in this fucking photo. I'm going to post this fucking photo. And like, that's just that. And like, just keep it moving and keep doing it. Yeah. And just actually do it, I think is the biggest thing. I actually get in a fight with my one friend about this all the time. I take the most gorgeous photos of her and she's like, I just don't want to post it. And I'm like, who gives a fuck, bitch? You look gorgeous. Post the photo. And you always just have to remind yourself you're your harshest critic. Nobody else is thinking of you like that harshly. So just remind yourself that when those are the moments where you're like, I don't know if I should post that. Babe, you're just being your harshest critic and you just need to like show yourself some grace during this time. And like, you should do that and like post. Who gives a fuck? We're young. We're young and we're in love. Just post. Okay. I feel like that's it for this week's episode, mainly because I feel as if I'm dying. The side of my head hurts. I'm going through it, but I love every single one of you. If you're listening to this past Valentine's Day, I still think you should have like a self-love day for yourself. Go and treat yourself to like flowers, chocolate, a good ass coffee, whatever it is, but show yourself so much love on Valentine's Day because why the fuck would you not want to? I think it's such a beautiful day. And I think you should do exactly that. But I love every single one of you. Thank you so much for listening to Live and Learn. Make sure to rate it 5 fucking stars on Spotify or wherever you're listening to it. It does me wonders. Make sure to comment on YouTube. Come say hi. You know, I love to talk to my YouTube girls in the comments and I appreciate it. But I love every single one of you. I hope you have the best day ever. And stay gorgeous. Okay. I love you guys. Bye.